Greetings from India to all the presenters and panelists of today's conference. I am Nilima Yadav, one of the authors of the paper Traditional Vernacular Architecture of Kumaon, the case of hill town of Munshari. Today, I will be presenting our paper on behalf of my co-author Navnil Chattopadhyay. The contents of my presentation are site and setting, where I'll be talking about the site and setting of this hill town, then the people, the tribal community which inhabits this region, and then the traditional vernacular architecture of this region, and I'll conclude my presentation with the conclusion. The image that you're looking at in this slide represents the geographical setting of Munshari. Talking about the location of Munshari, Munshari is a small town located in the hill state of Uttarakhand, India, in the district of Kumaon. The hill state of Uttarakhand is basically located towards the north of India and therefore receives good number of winter days. And as we move on further in the presentation, we will see how the people of this region have responded to the harsh climatic condition of this region. Next, we will be looking at the graphics where you can see the sitting of Munshari in the foothills of Himalayas. The blue river which you are looking at in this slide is basically the river Gauri Ganga, which flows towards the east of the hill town of Munshari. From the analytical sketch on this slide, we have depicted the settlement of Munshari, which is basically placed on the flatter slopes of this region. We can see the river Gauri Ganga flows in the valley, which is marked in blue in this slide. The settlement of Munshari is a part of larger sacred cultural landscape. So when we are now, the sketch which we are looking at is basically a depiction of the various sacred peaks which take up to the Mount Kailasha. This particular route, which starts from this region, basically leads up to Munshari, or used to lead up to Munshari in historical times. And even today, this whole route is considered very sacred. The various peaks are also shown on the sketch, which are even today considered sacred and are a part of this route. The hill town of Munshari is also a part of this route, and that's why we can say that it is a part of a continuous cultural landscape of this region. The majority of inhabitants of the hill town of Munshari belong to a tribe known as the Barpatiyas. This tribal community is believed to have come and settled in this region centuries ago, when they were roaming around for a good pastoral land in this region. Slowly they became a major trading community of this region by the 17th and 18th century. This trade would eventually decline, which we will talk about in later slides. This tribe today practices Hinduism as their major religion, and they are a major Devi worshipper. All their religions and festivals revolve around the worship of Devi. Their occupation was majorly trade till the 1962, after which, because of the Indochina War, the whole trade route was broken, and today they are seen doing odd jobs in nearby cities. Owing to its rich history and heritage, the region exhibits very intricate typology of traditional vernacular architecture, which was documented as part of the study. On this slide, we are looking at a drafted elevation of one of the houses of the Barpatiya community. On the next slide, we can see how the setting of the village is in response to its location. Now, it is very important to notice here that the Barpatiyas were responding to the natural terrain of this region. The four major factors which are important in determining the location of the settlement are availability of natural resources such as water and sunlight, availability of field for farming, comparatively flatter slopes for inhabitation, and fertility of the soil. On in this slide where we are looking at the section of this settlement, we can see how this comparatively flatter slopes have been occupied by the Barpatias to build their houses. And we would also see what is marked in blue or written as Dhara is basically a water body which flows through the village and is considered sacred. It is a fresh water body and provides fresh water for the village. The top of the hill is not used for inhabitation as that consists of very dense forest and is used as the pastoral or grazing land for the cattle of the community. Also, the hilltop receives maximum amount of snow during the winters and that's why it is not used for inhabitation. There are two main types of settlement pattern in this region. The first one is linear pattern where the settlement is planned along with one slope or one or few slopes comparatively flatter to each other. This kind of settlement is usually found towards the lower Himalayas because it is easy to find flatter slopes in one specific area. The next kind of settlement which we see is called nucleated settlement, where we have distributed settlements at certain distances. So this is usually done based on the availability of flatter lands, and we can see this kind of settlement usually in the higher Himalayan plains. So within Munshiari also, based on the location of the village, we can see these two patterns. The architecture of the Barpatia community is also a response to its first the topography and second the climate of the region. These are the few key points of the Barpatia dwelling. The architecture of Barpatias majorly constitutes of its dwellings and then the temples and other community spaces. Due to shortage of time today, I will be talking in detail more about the dwelling. Basically, their dwelling is a response to the extreme climatic condition of this region. So because of that, they have very small openings and very few openings in their houses. The small openings basically helps in cutting down the harsh wind which they receive in majority of the year or majorly during the winters. There is a presence of a small veranda or chak in front of the house which would let them have some kind of natural ventilation during the winter seasons when they cannot go out as much. They also have an open courtyard or veranda, which is a major which is the only kind of open space which they have, and this space is a multifunctional space where they sit around in the daytime, they do all the crafts work, and they also dry their vegetables for the winter seasons in this small space. The wall is made up of a local found stone and it's mixed with a plaster made of mud, cow dung and other organic additives. When we will talk about the plan, we will see that the lower portion of the house is usually occupied by the cattle. This is done so as to have warmth on the upper floors. So that is why the lower floor is reserved for the cattle. And they all have good amount, the Barpatia tribe has good amount of cattle because they cannot be completely dependent on other farm products in the nearby regions. The roof of these houses is usually sloping. These sloping roofs help in melting down the snow during the winter seasons easily. We would also find that a local grass known as Salem is used to cover these roofs, and this also helps in melting down the snow during the winter seasons. Talking in detail about the architectural planning of this house, here we are looking at a sketch which shows the courtyard of the house and the rooms how they are placed behind. The axonometric view of the house which you can see is showing the ground floor which is reserved for the cattle as I mentioned earlier, and the first floor is basically the inhabitation area or the area where they occupy or they live. So the first floor is basically a multifunctional space with the first half being the veranda where which is the open space of the house, and the second half being the multipurpose sleeping area, or it also sometimes has the kitchen within itself. Being the kitchen there, the kitchen also provides heat into the house. There are 4 types of architectural plan which we found in this region. The important point to be noted here is this architectural plan, where the architecture of this region in terms of floor plan is divided into four major typologies. These typologies are based on the economic condition of the dweller. So we would have the most common type of houses where we have the floor plan divided into four equal parts. Then we have a slightly bigger houses where the rooms are slightly bigger and they have a reserved area for the kitchen. The next one is where we have an additional room on this side. Usually this is done by the later generation if they can afford an extra room. And then the next one, which is basically the house of the head of the village or the elites of the village, where you would find three separate sleeping rooms and on the first floor and three goats on the ground floor. One additional space in this particular typology of houses is the puja room, which is marked in red. This particular space acts as a community temple for the village deity to reside. This space also has a lot of significance in the festivals which are celebrated in this region. Coming down to the conclusion, while we were doing the study, it was very fascinating to see how this architecture has evolved over time. But it was also sad to see that now, since the 1962, because the people condition have declined economically, we can see a huge gap in the construction after that. Also, the coming of modern materials and modern techniques has played a major role in this region. Initially, when the roads were not available for most of these villages, these materials didn't come for a long time. But from the last 1 decade, when there are motor roads till the villages, a lot of new materials have made their way into the village. The point to be taken seriously here is that it is important to recognize that there are modern materials now in the market and people will use it, but it is also important to understand what is relevant or what can still be used from the traditional knowledge system, because the knowledge system has evolved over the years to what it is now today. So this study basically enlisted the important points which could be taken as key pointers for taking forward this traditional knowledge system. It is important that the locals have a know-how of how to go about in constructing their houses. When we were doing survey of the villages which were closer to the town of Munshiari, we found that a lot of modern materials have made their way and a lot of modern dwellings can be seen. But even the locals acknowledge that these dwellings are not as comfortable as their traditional ones or what their ancestors had built. So even now during the winters they go and reside in their older dwellings just because it is too harsh to stay in these modern dwellings. So this paper also identifies various areas of research which can be further taken forward to develop this strategy in greater depth. I hope that this paper could highlight these major important points and could be taken further to develop a proper strategy of developing such houses by respecting the traditional knowledge system and by respecting the culture of the region. Thank you.